I respect your time, so let's get right into it. We have been cock-slapped by the mining changes for 3 weeks now. Dick-slapped by the ban wave of whales for 2 weeks now. I think we have given the market and players sufficient time to get adjusted. So today, I will be talking about how I adapt to these changes and how it impacted the exchange center. So let's start with the ban wave first. Personally, I am not very happy with this ban wave, but I agree with it, especially if the sources of cheap diamonds are from stolen credit cards. I think there's just no excuse and no choice, frankly speaking. However, I'm unhappy because this type of banning has a snowball effect. Usually one person in the guild will introduce others to cheap diamonds. One die, all die. One quit, all quit.
You die! I die! Everybody die!
It's not just the whales quitting, people in the same guild will lose their carries, lose motivation and quit as well. As a result, diamond prices have been soaring and my enriched Illuniums, Bradiums, Oridicons are no longer able to sell at max price. Both things are detrimental to free-to-play players. So with the ban of whales, I have been defaulting to selling the higher tier refining ores instead of selling the final smelter item since I can no longer reliably cater to whale demand. So for example, instead of crafting and selling enriched Illunium, I am simply selling rough Illunium 2. Next, let's talk about the mining changes. Due to the nerfs in mining rates, some ores are way more in demand than others. For example, often I'm able to sell Coal 1 at max price. Sometimes I will just dismantle Coal 2 into Coal 1 because it's better value. Similarly, I observed that upgrading metals can be sold at default price rather than the minimum price. Another change I observed in my server, last time Muspellium 2s and 3s were literally unsellable and Muspellium 4s take a long time to sell. Recently, Muspellium 3s and 4s are becoming more sellable, which may be due to a couple of factors coming together. Firstly, the price of Muspellium going down due to the mining changes. Secondly, the change in Kingdom Pass rewards, where they offer higher grade enchantment selection boxes, which opens up the possibility for players to use higher tier enchantments. Thirdly, we are at a point where more players are hitting Smelting 7, as well as having their progressions hit a point where they are considering higher tier enchantments. So with all these possible reasons, Muspellium 3 and 4 are now pretty sellable in my server. In the past, I used to synthesize Muspellium 3s into 4s and dismantle Muspellium 2s into 1s, but now I can actually sell them as they are because there seems to be reasonable demand. So now when I relook at my personal mining sheet, red means unsellable in my server, so I set the price as 0, and grey means I dismantle them into lower tier, otherwise unsellable. So with all those constraints in mind, I'm still making around 68 crystals per stamina from mining 8 and 10% tax around 61 crystals, which is pretty good. Next, let's talk about the exchange center changes. In the December 18th patch notes, it stated that the game optimized the rules for assigning purchase orders and sale orders in the exchange center. Now, in the past, your items are listed for 36 hours and some of your items will be prioritized for sale the closer it is to expiry. Which is why last time I mentioned in the weekly reviews to make sure the timing of which you list your items has to span across the timing before KVM, before GVG, where players want a last minute push for power. And also release the items on Sunday so that your items will be in exchange on Monday when players get their crystals reset. Now, after the December 18 patch, based on my Buddy Stormshift's testing, together with my own testing, your items for sale are still listed for 36 hours, but now, I think it is added batch by batch into a pool of items and sold via some kind of RNG or rotation basis. So let's use my Luminary Shield 2 as an example. I listed 30 of them in one shot, in one single listing. Usually what happens is that it will be unsold all the way to the end of expiry, and then I just pray that people buy it, and if people buy it, it's going to be gone in one shot. Now let's look at what happened. I sold the shields one by one, and then like in groups of 5, and then after that, it didn't get sold at all for another few hours. And then after that, it got sold again, one piece. And slowly, after a few hours again, it sold 10 pieces, 3 pieces, 7 pieces. So this is the change that I'm talking about. Here's how I believe it works. I have no clue. I'm just guessing. So let's say you put 1,000 upgrading metals for sale, and there are like hundreds of thousands in supply. In the past, you will not sell a single one until it's close to expiry, where they put your listing into some sort of priority queue and you pray the timing got people want to buy. Now it seems like they will take 20 from you, 20 from me, 20 from him, 20 from her, and they will form a separate pool, separate batch of items, and it gets sold either randomly or via some kind of rotation basis. So you will notice some of the items being sold way before the expiry time, but yet not all is sold. Now, the good thing about this is that you don't have to worry about listing it at a particular timing anymore, although the concept is still the same. Demand is presumably higher at night, so make sure your items are listed with the nighttime crowd in mind if you're not around to relist it. So the bad thing is you might end up with 10 or 20 random ores left over time and blocking up a sales slot. Nonetheless, I personally am very neutral about this change. Now, in conclusion, due to the whale bans, I have stopped smelting higher tier refining stuff. Instead, I just sell the higher tier refining ores directly. My smelting strategy is going to pivot to targeting the free-to-play and dolphins instead. So if the value of enchantment stones and smelting 6 tier up stones are good, I would consider them instead. In short, I can't be too greedy for now. I can't put the max price and just target whales like I used to. Similarly, with the mining changes, I am now more aware of the supply of certain ores and pricing them accordingly. So for example, I can set max price for coal and base default price for upgrading metals, and it still gets sold. So mining is still my go-to life skill for now based on prices in my server. Now, the changes for the exchange center don't really affect me much. It's overall a decent change for mass majority of players who didn't really min-max their listing timings in the past. Alright, that's it for me. This is my third reminder for all of you value-oriented free-to-play players. Please remember to save Odin's blessing for the upcoming Christmas event, which I believe is tomorrow, 23rd of December. If you like straight to the point videos that help provide value and keep you ahead of the free-to-play curve, like the video and subscribe. As always, outplay, not outpay. Bye!